We're here today with Dr. Richard Crowley of sportsmaker.com. Dr. Crowley is a sports psychologist working with athletes since 1983. Dr. Crowley, I know you work with athletes and helping them overcome the yips. Most people think of yips tied to either baseball players and golfers. Are those the only two sports that encounter that type of issue?
Oh, everyone gets it. You get it when you go out on a date. You know, you want to date that girl, and you go out on that date with her. You're going to get anxious and nervous. Even before you even ask her out, you're going to get anxious. Even before you ask her out, you're going to have conversations in your head for a week or a month. All that stuff goes in our head. So this is what goes on in, quote, the yips, as they'll call it, which is really a disconnect. They somehow get disconnected. I call it a disconnect. So it's that anxiety. It's human condition. It's not psychological. We all get anxiety, worry, doubt. What if this, what if this, what if this? It's human nature. But when you got it in your sport, you're in trouble. The question is, does it work besides baseball and golf? Of course. I work with ultimate fighters who are champions. Do I know anything about ultimate fighting? I love to watch it, but how would I know what to tell an ultimate fighter to do? I take them in their imagination, and they tell their imagination to come up with images, creating whatever it is that has them stuck, not being a champion, maybe a negative thought about it, maybe it won't work, maybe a fear, but that's human nature, it's not psychological. Worked with a top athlete, Guy Kruger. He won the U.S. Open in 2005 with archery. He had an interesting one. He was holding the bow, and he'd be holding like this here, and it would start to move down, and his coach would say, no, bring it up again, and he believes he has it up. And this is a right ball player too. You believe you're doing it correctly, and all of a sudden, it starts moving down again. So I told him to get an image that made it move down again. We got rid of it and welcomed back another image, and all of a sudden it stayed, and he won the U.S. Open. Was it me doing it? Hell no. I showed him how to use his imagination to fix himself. It empowers the player, not me.
Question for you is, when you work with an athlete and help them overcome a specific issue related to their sport, does the work that you do, does it carry over to anything else in that athlete's life, for example?
Yeah, people who, I mean, you're depressed when you have the yips. I don't care what you want to call it, depressed, down and out. All of a sudden that pops. The player says, I'm happy, and not only am I happy, I'm socializing again. I was withdrawn. I've had people who told me that their whole life they couldn't look anyone in the eye. They were socially, uncomfortable. They started to look at people, socialize. It changed. I've had so many people who will tell me, because the work in the imagination is a metaphor. It's about baseball or about golf or whatever, but it's a metaphor, meaning it symbolizes much more than that. So when you're working with, imagine a circle, and you draw a circle and put a point in the center, and the point in the center is the work I'm doing with a ball player or whoever. And that work we do, it's like a hologram. A hologram means whatever part of the hologram you touch, it affects everything in it. So when we hit one part of our psyche, we'll say this hologram, it also affects seemingly unrelated things, like people who are just uncomfortable about other issues or socially withdrawn start to snap out of it. So the effects are incredible, not just for the sport.
So question, if an athlete is struggling in their sport, which happens all the time, at what point might they want to reach out and look for assistance with a sports psychologist or someone that can help them out, versus just going through it on their own and hopefully recovering, which a lot of athletes do?
Sad part is they'll go through it on their own because they're told it's mechanics. They're told over and over it's mechanics, and they believe it's mechanics, although they know inside their heart of hearts that this weird feeling when I throw the ball ain't mechanics. They're the only ones who know it. They can't get that across to baseball. Baseball shuns when they see a player with this or someone, they freak out. Baseball, right from the top down, they put their head in the sand. They think if you have some kind of yips in throwing or something like this, your career's over. Totally wrong. It's like the world was flat 500 years ago. Some people believed it wouldn't go sailing. It's another false belief that's been perpetuated, and there's no way to stop it. They just don't want to talk openly about players having this, because every one of them will tell a story how they've had it in their life. Every major league player will tell it if they had permission to.
So, Dr. Crowley, if a ball player or an athlete would like to talk to you and find out maybe how the two of you can work together to see if you can help, what would you suggest? How do they reach out to you?
Go to Sportsmaker, sportsmaker.com. There'll be an email there, phone. You can call me, email me. We can talk about it. I usually have you, well, I always have you fill out the form so I can see clearly what you're going through. And then we'll talk about it, and then it's your decision if you want to work with me or not.
All right. Dr. Crowley, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.